Hello, my name is Andrew Luria. I'm the Senior Director of the Major Incident Response Team at ADP. Today, I'll be talking about reducing the mean time to repair by faster and smarter mobilization. Thank you in advance for joining me for this important topic. Now let's get started. First, a little bit about me, ADP, and my team. I've been with ADP for 25 years, most of which have been in technology, with the last 9 years building and improving our major incident response. Part of that journey has been expanding our supported product portfolio, growing our team, and building and integrating our tools and processes and going global. This has resulted in a diverse group of technical professionals responsible for end-to-end management of major incidents, including mobilization, command and control, as well as communications, supporting 800 plus client-facing products and internal applications across the globe. ADP is a global provider of cloud-based human capital management and a leader in business outsourcing, services, analytics, and compliance expertise. When facing a major incident, minutes can make all the difference. One of the most important steps in addressing a major incident, in my opinion, only second to detection, is mobilization. Ensuring you have the right people at the right time, it's critical. These can easily become a challenge in a large organization with multiple products and applications used around the world, supported by many teams, including but not limited to DevOps, SREs, and infrastructure engineers. To overcome this, a successful major incident process should always avoid the spray and pray approach. This is where you call out to many teams in hopes that you get the right ones. In this presentation, I'll talk about how to improve mobilization to reduce your overall mean time to repair using tools and process. Today we'll cover the following topics: MTTE, MTTR, what they are and why they matter, business drivers, pain points, and objectives, incident timeline review, tools and technology, process modifications, and recommended next steps and best practices. Before we begin, I think it's a really good idea to level set some of the terminology. As many of you are very familiar with the major incident management process, these metrics will be familiar to you and more of a refresher than something new you've never heard about before. Here, I'd like to talk about three: mean time to detect, mean time to engage, and mean time to repair. First, mean time to detect. This is the average time it took to detect a potential or actual major incident. If you're using some form of an alert or an event monitoring tool, the delta from the start of the incident to the detection of the incident are the data points you measure. Second is mean time to engage. This is typically the average time it took to engage the right teams. Some organizations may measure this from detection to engagement of the major incident team, while others may measure it from the time the major incident team is activated to when the primary support team for the product or systems are engaged. In either case, the idea is the faster you can engage the teams, the faster you can solve the problem. Lastly is mean time to repair. This is the average time it took to repair the major incident. Again, some teams measure this differently, either from the start of the incident to the fix of the incident, or from the engagement to the fix. What matters here is that you are consistent in your approach and that you have a baseline to track this over time and hopefully improve upon them. All of these measurements are good to track and report as you build your major incident management process. Okay, so now we've covered a couple of measurements. We've got to think about what's next in this transformation. When you're evaluating your current process and how to improve your mean time to engage, you really want to make sure you understand three areas. First is your business drivers. These are critical to ensure you have buy-in from the top down. When you can frame the changes and improvements you desire around those drivers, it will have a much stronger impact, especially if a financial investment is part of the solution. Some common drivers I think you should consider is depth and diversity of your product portfolio, your current mean time to repair, your communication velocity, and any DevOps or other types of transformations that are occurring. Second, you want to understand your pain points. What currently isn't working? Do you recognize those and see them as areas you need to find solutions for? Understand, you can't fix everything at once, but if you go into it with an open mind, you can definitely find solutions. Some common pain points that I've considered in the past are as follows. The spray and pray mobilization of experts needed to resolve incidents is inefficient. The lack of centralized engagement tools for escalation, and in-flight transformation of DevOps or other types. Lastly, focus on the objectives. Understand that they will, over time, help you be successful. Remember, by reducing the mean time to engage, you can address several objectives at once. Here's some objectives I encourage you to focus on. Reduce the mean time to repair by standardizing incident mobilization and response. Improve cross-team visibility and awareness. Encourage teams to self-manage their on-call rotations. And faster and targeted mobilization. To begin improving an organization's mean time to engage, you really must understand how the process starts. Failure to recognize this can be one of the most common pitfalls to improvements. Here's a simplified flow of an incident timeline. When we speak about mean time to engage, we can't avoid the prior steps of incident detection and classification of a major incident. Without these actions being taken, the need to mobilize is not known or understood. That said, once you know you have a major incident or a potential major incident, you must act fast to mobilize teams. I recommend focusing on three key areas: incident detection, incident classification, and team mobilization, getting the right experts engaged fast. When you think about incident detection, it really centers around your monitoring and alerting toolset. So you really need to work with those teams to be able to quickly identify when a major incident exists or potentially exists. And then you need to agree on what is a major incident. Again, these two steps are critical to making sure you know what's a major incident or a potential major incident so that you can begin to mobilize and triage teams. The tools and technology you use play a pivotal part in major incident mobilization. Depending on several factors, these can easily influence how you select your technology stack used to mobilize teams for major incidents. In this discussion, I won't specify any tool or set of tools, just that you need to really consider these factors when determining the tooling you need. First, the size of your organization can clearly influence your needs. Larger ones require enterprise-wide solutions that can support the complexity of teams with diverse needs and structures. Adding to the size of the organization is also whether they are co-located or not. As many teams are not co-located, it can make your tooling selection more important to account for their locations, time zones, and in some cases, local laws. In addition, the number of products and the complexity of those products can determine how you need to structure your mobilization model. The larger the product portfolio inevitably means more teams need to be integrated into the tools and process. You need to ensure the tool you select can manage to this. This takes us to the third and final consideration, the support structure. A more distributed model requires a more complex approach. It's easy when you have a few support teams supporting a few products. Multiply that times hundreds of products with complex integrations. You then face a challenge identifying all the right people for those products. It also means you should consider the administration factor. Having support teams manage their own on-call, escalation, and rotation is best. The last thing you want is your MIM team to do this and have to always be responsible for the administration and maintenance of this data. One of the more common ways MIM teams have historically mobilized technologists is using meeting invitations coupled with a conference call dial-in. Though these have been somewhat successful, they can result in getting too many people engaged who aren't needed or can help, i.e. the spray and pray approach. This method can still be used if you can get a more targeted distribution list. However, it won't likely address the on-call element. Select the tools carefully, knowing that you could be significant costs and you want to be sure to get a return on your investment. So now you have a tool selected. Next, you need to consider your process. You need to think about how you can best mobilize the right people fast. It's easy to pull the fire alarm and get all hands on deck, but easy doesn't always mean good. If you go with a targeted approach, you are more likely to get the right team of people and get them quickly. It also helps avoid teammates not joining a call because they believe their colleague is going to or already did. Imagine having 100 people on a team all thinking the other 99 are joining. The support structure is another area to think about when building your process. Are product and infrastructure teams separated or are they integrated? How many teams do you need to engage at the onset of a potential outage? Are those teams DevOps or segmented between development teams and Tier 1 and Tier 2, product and infrastructure? Understanding your current organization model is key. That said, many companies are going through various transformations, and depending on the status of those, you could have different considerations for different products. Based on this, I encourage setting up your process with a primary and secondary model. What I mean is think about all the teams that support a given product. If you know you don't always need the network team or the Windows team, then set them up to be part of the second wave for engagement. You don't want to pull everyone away from their work and decrease productivity if you know you only need them 20 to 40% of the time. As noted in the prior slide about the incident timeline, incident detection is another factor that plays into mobilization approach. If your monitoring tools tell you exactly where the issue may be, you can mobilize those teams first. It is also dependent on how your technology stack is configured, such as product, shared services, platform, and infrastructure. A model like this can help support faster and more targeted mobilization. Ineffective tools coupled with outdated processes, you can significantly increase your mean time to engage and therefore your mean time to repair. By focusing on these two areas, you have a direct impact on your clients and associates as it pertains to major incidents. Okay, so if you followed my advice thus far, you have a new tool and you have a new process that helps avoid the spray and pray approach, all with the ultimate goal of reducing the mean time to repair by guess what? Reducing engagement times. So what's next? First, document the process and pilot with a small group of teams and products. You want the new process to be successful, so making sure it works will help gain commitment from teams across the organization. Depending on the organization size and structure, will also determine how long you may need to pilot. Following what is hopefully a successful pilot, Make sure you socialize the new process with your partners. The best tools and processes can be for nothing if you can't align teams behind it. Teams will value the partnership and changes since now only those that are needed, and on call, by the way, will be mobilized. This will allow other support associates to focus on their current priorities without interruption. Now you can begin the setup of the remaining teams using your new tool and updated process. This will take some time and won't be without a few bumps in the road. That is okay. Be patient, collaborate with teams, and make adjustments as needed. Before you know it, you will be live and looking at a reduction of mean time to engage, and yes, mean time to repair. But now's not the time to rest. Check in regularly with your team and your technology partners. Inevitably, changes will need to be made. That's expected. Just make sure everyone is following the process and have adopted the new way to mobilize for a major incident. And don't forget, the overall goal is to reduce the mean time to repair. But to do that, you have to have faster engagement. As you reflect on this discussion, let me leave you with a few best practices and suggestions. First, collaborate with your technologists on how best to improve the mean time to engage. Their input will go a long way to both the solution and adoption. I have found that the more the MIM team collaborates and incorporates input from the broader technology teams, the better the outcome. Look, we all get it. Major incidents are never fun, and many teams would prefer they don't happen and don't pull them away from the fun work. That said, they do exist, and partnership is key to success. Second, I strongly encourage you to break out your process into two swim lanes, primary and secondary. Again, teams you don't need on every call on the onset shouldn't be distracted from their current work. If you need them depending on what tool or process you use, you can always engage them. An added benefit is that there will be less people on the call and therefore less disruptions. I don't know about you, but I'm on plenty of calls where there's enough people talking over each other that I would like to mute everybody at once. And don't worry, if you find a particular team needs to be moved to the primary swim lane for a product or set of products, you can do that. It just doesn't mean for all products they need to be mobilized immediately. As noted earlier, be sure you pick a tool that allows support teams to manage their own on-call rotation. The major incident management teams are often small and not equipped to address the frequent changes to personnel and on-call schedules. The MIM team should not have to worry about who's on call, just that they will be reachable when the need arises. No matter what tool you go with or the process you build around that tool, you will need to regularly check to make sure teams are being engaged timely and efficiently. Hopefully, with full adoption of the process, you will start to see faster engagement times of the right people and an improved mean time to repair. In my experience, both on the operations side of the technology and as leader of the MIM team, I have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. These ideas are not revolutionary, but can truly have an impact on your mean time to engage and your mean time to repair, and ultimately help improve the experience for your clients and associates. I hope you found this topic helpful, and remember, be patient. Changing from a spray and pray approach when mobilizing teams for a major incident won't happen overnight and could even cause temporary bump in the time to engage and therefore the time to repair. As long as you see the areas for improvement and adjust it, you will be okay. Thanks again for taking the time to listen to this discussion. Have a great day.